continues with the animated smash hit, The X-Men.
Make your move, hotshot.
Catch all new episodes of the Power Rangers and the X-Men on a Super Night of Superheroes tonight starting at 8/7 Central on Fox.
Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? We're back with a brand new action figure review, and today we're going to take a look at the new Marvel Legends Wolverine based on the 90s animated series on Fox. Now, I'm so stoked to get this in, mainly because growing up, there was two animated series that I grew up on that I really adored that still hold up till this day. One of them was X-Men the animated series, the other was Batman the animated series. So when Hasbro announced late last year, I think during PulseCon, that they were going to do this type of like VHS inspired box art, I was so hyped because I'm all for it. I'm a huge sucker for like anything retro or anything 90s. And by the way, I know this figure has been out for almost a month now, and a lot of reviewers out there have already reviewed this, so I don't expect to get the same traction on this video as I did on my previous one with the AliExpress Spider-Man.
My 15 minutes of fame are over.
By the way, shoutouts to all of y'all for checking out that video. I really appreciate it. But without further ado, like we always do with the reviews here on the channel, let's start with the box art first. So on the front of the box, you see the X-Men logo on the top. I do like this Marvel Comics thing. It's like similar to what you would see in a comic book. I don't remember if it was on the VHS tapes. We did have one growing up, and it was my brother's. And he basically got that VHS tape. I think it was Night of the Sentinel Part 1 and 2. But it came with a pizza during like a Pizza Hut promotion. I do remember that. And then you see the nice box art of Wolverine. And the bottom, you've seen this before in my other review of the Thor Love and Thunder figures, like the deluxe version, I guess you'd call them. But it says plastic-free packaging. And then on the side of the box, you see the image of Wolverine, the traditional Marvel Comics logo on the top, which is very synonymous with the 90s in my opinion. You see Wolverine's name, and then here it's kind of cool. You see MVL, which is Marvel Marvel, and you see Legends under there. So this is kind of like inspired like the VHS font. And then you see a little black on the bottom to like make it look like there's a real tape in there. And then on the back of the box, you see the X-Men logo at the top, Wolverine in the middle, the full image of the figure Wolverine, and then an info which reads, his adamantium claws slash through steel. His mutant healing abilities mends even the worst wounds. He's Wolverine, the best at what he does, and what he does best is fight evil mutants. It's kind of like a corny info, but I get it. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate the Comic Sans font that they used. And I also, there's like a lot of other stuff going on the bottom here. But before we take this out of the box, I do want to compare this with an actual like VHS tape. And for those of you that don't know, VHS tapes are what we used before DVDs, and before DVDs, you know, this was what we had, and then after that, that's when we had digital and all the crap. Whatever, I'm rambling. But here is a VHS tape I have of Batman, the animated series. And for those of you who don't know, like, you might think, oh, he probably bought this at like a Best Buy or Circuit City or Ames. Jeez, I sound older now. But I actually bought this at, this is going to show how old I am. I bought this at a Warner Brothers store. For those of you who don't know, Warner Brothers had their own shop just like Disney did, and they sold a bunch of Warner Brothers merchandise and properties such as Batman. But as you can plainly see, the box is bigger than a normal VHS box, which I understand. Now let's see in terms of width. Yeah, it's also going to be thicker, which is to be expected, so I don't really mind that. I did read somewhere online that some people, like collectors, were like kind of annoyed that this wasn't the actual size of the VHS box, and in my head I'm like, what the hell did you expect? Like, how did you expect to see a Marvel Legends fit in an actual VHS size box? So I don't mind that it's not the same exact size as VHS tape. That's to be expected because we're putting a figure in there, not a tape. And now that I see this side by side, I totally wouldn't be opposed if like McFarlane Toys totally copied this concept of doing like a VHS inspired like box art. But now that I think about it also though, if he were to do one, because it's a 7-inch scale, the box would have to be way bigger than like what the Hasbro one uses. But I don't know. I'd still be all for it because I'm a huge fan of Batman, the animated series. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's enough about all that. Let's go and get Wolverine out of the box. And in case you're wondering, this is what it's going to start looking like going forward with the plastic-free packaging. So as you saw, just like you saw with the Thor Love and Thunder Deluxe figures, it has this kind of like paper seal around the figure and around the accessories as well. Before I take it out, it's kind of funny. Kind of looks like Wolverine's like struggling for air. All right, here's Wolverine out of the box, and already I'm not a fan of it. The cell shading looks really bad in my opinion, but also, I don't know if you all see it, his right shoulder pad is in reverse. So it looks like it's a QC issue, but I think I should be able to pop it off and then fix it. I'm just going to go ahead and pop this off and put this on here. But it's not that big of a deal. But to be honest with you, the cell shading looks horrible to me at first glance. And for those of you who don't know, the whole premise of the X-Men the Animated Series line from Hasbro was to be cell shaded, so it had kind of that feel of like animated series look. But in actuality, this is just my perspective and my opinion, I think it looks awful. I would have much rather been happier if Hasbro just re-released the figures we had before, just with different paint, like just updated paint deco, or if even it was the same thing, because I just don't like the look of the cell shading, which I'll get to in a second if this damn thing will ever pop in there. So, looks like it's actually not going to work. It just fell off, and I realize it's not going to work because the peg on the front is a different size from the one on the back. So already this is a shitty experience so far. And it even says on the shoulder pad in there, left one. So I'm sure there's going to be some work to do. I'm sure I can get this thing to peg into the hole. I might just have to heat it up, but fuck it. We're going to do this review without his right shoulder pad. And this is what I meant when I said I don't like the cell shading. It just looks like some of the paint bled through on his chest. But before we take a look at the figure, actually, let's take a look at the accessories first. All right, here are the accessories that Wolverine comes with. Has an additional head sculpt of him like growling or whatever, being angry. And it comes with 2 additional hand sculpts with the claws supposed to be retracted in. But here's the problem with that, is they're just regular blue hand sculpts. It doesn't have the silver lining where his claws are supposed to come out. So that's a huge downside. Like, I wish they would have added that in there instead of just giving us blue hands without this. And the last accessory he comes with is honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to get this figure. So the QC issue of the shoulder pad kind of serves me right. But the main reason why I got this was for this accessory piece, because I thought it was so hilarious that he came with the framed photo of Scott and Jean. I have some other ideas for toy photography with other photos I'm going to put in there. But yeah, it's cool that he comes with this. All right, now let's take a look at the figure itself. And like I mentioned, that cell shading, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't hit right with these figures. Like, I remember the meme, it just looks like he's peeing down his pants. Like, yeah, the cell shading doesn't make sense. Like, a company that did cell shading right, in my opinion, was DC Direct with their Batman the Animated Series Continues line. That looked great for cell shading. This, not so much. It just looks sloppy to me. Let me know what you all think in the comments below, but I'm just not a fan of that. And as I mentioned, I would have been totally happy if they had just released these figures without the cell shading, with just the regular paint job on them, because it would have looked fine. The cool thing is there are new claws on here compared to the previous Wolverine figures, so that's something I do appreciate in terms of new sculpting. The head sculpt, it looks like it's new. They made his, I guess, ears wider, or his cowl, wider, whereas the OG Apocalypse version didn't. It's essentially that same buck, so articulation is going to be the same as that, but God, that kind of sucks about a shoulder pad. It's just chilling back there. So when comparing it to the Wolverine that came out in the Apocalypse wave in 2018, you can see the huge color difference between the two. This one was more of a gold finish. And then they had the Love Triangle 3-pack, which I never got that one. But like I mentioned, it's using the same buck. And then when comparing the claws, like I mentioned, they're brand new claws on there as opposed to the old style. I do like the newer style better. And when it comes to the head sculpt, like I mentioned, they made the cowls a little bit wider, which it should, because the original release, it was just, I felt like it was too closed in or too collapsed in. So I like this one better. Right now we're just going to jump right into size comparisons. And first size comparison here is standing next to a couple other Marvel Legends Wolverine figures. One you just saw, the Marvel Legends Wolverine from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave, and the Marvel Legends Wolverine from the House of X Powers of 10 comic book storyline from the Tri-Sentinel Build-A-Figure wave. And next size comparison, here he is standing next to 2 Wolverine figures from the live-action X-Men movies from Hasbro's 20th anniversary line. We have the Amazon exclusive Wolverine, and then the regular release Wolverine with the jacket. And next size comparison, here he is standing next to 2 other characters he's interacted with in the animated series. We have Lady Deathstrike from the Zenmu Build-A-Figure wave, and Maverick from the Strong Guy Build-A-Figure wave. Just like a random side note, I think this Maverick figure is hella underrated. And because I haven't done this in a while, now for a random ass size comparison, here's Wolverine standing next to the McFarlane Toys My Hero Academia figures. We have Deku, Not Todoroki, and Ochako, My Shitten Heart. And last size comparison, here he is standing next to the Marvel Legends Stan Lee. Alright, some overall thoughts on the figure. I'll be honest with y'all, I don't like it at all. the cell shading is atrocious to me. And I would love to sit here and be like, yo, this looks awesome, looks dope, but I wouldn't be me if I was lying. I got to keep it 100. So this figure, in my opinion, looks awful. I don't think cell shading is the way to go, to be honest with you, but that's just me. The cell shading with Venom last year worked because, you know, he had a black symbiote suit, so you can kind of get away with it with that color when it's a darker tone. When it's something like this, when it's like bright X-Men colors, especially the animated series uniforms, I don't think it works. And this might sound juvenile. I know a lot of people made memes about it, but it does look like he's pissing his pants, to be honest with you. I think the cell shading looks messy. I don't think it goes well. In terms of engineering as the figure, it's great. This is the perfect Wolverine buck. It's been the perfect one since they came out with it in 2018 with the Apocalypse Wave. It scales well with other Marvel Legends, so it's great. And also, here's the flip side. It gives new collectors another chance to get this type of Wolverine, like a Jim Lee inspired one, or more so the animated series version. So that's cool. I'm happy in that respects. But in terms of someone that's had the figure before, I don't like this figure. It just looks atrocious. And it's not even because of the QC issue with giving me 2 left shoulder pads. That I don't care about. Like, I can fudge it. It might fall off, but it's fine with me. It's not that. It's mostly the cell shading. I don't think it's a good look. The one like caveat to this animated series line is that we're going to get a morph. And that's the one figure I've been looking to get to complete my set for my Jim Lee team. And the other thing is there are some sleepers in this wave that actually have great head sculpts, like Storm, for example. And I'm excited for Mystique as well. Hopefully they give us an Apocalypse because I missed out on that Build-A-Figure. But apart from that, I like the accessory with the frame. But yeah, sound off in the comments below, YouTubers. Let me know what you think about this figure and what you think about the cell shading in general. Are you going to be picking up any other figures from the line, or is there one you're anticipating that you think they're going to announce? Sound off and let me know in the comments below, YouTubers. And like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.